All right, welcome to May 9th in Canada. It's crazy. Like fully snowing. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So just quick pond updates for you. It's snowing right now, and birds are trying to figure out what to do. The pond is drained because they were building the wetland filter, so it's mostly done. They haven't finished the edge right there yet because I think they're trying to figure out what kind of rocks they have left, because what they're doing now is using the last rocks to build the final waterfall. So the final waterfall is going to be up here. It looks really cool. So this here, with the rock with the bucket on it, that's going to be the overflow. So you see how they kind of frame it out with a couple bigger rocks? One thing I really like is this. See how it kind of cuts in and it will just overflow? That means when there's periods of really high flow, that it might kind of creep up over this rock. And if there's lower flow, it'll kind of like fall down, but it might overflow here and then crash down this way as well. It'll be a really interesting waterfall. And also, this lower edge, if you trace this back all the way around the pond, is slightly underwater. So the water level is set by that. So this right now is about 1.5 feet roughly drained down, which means you'll be able to actually kind of sit in that spot and have like a waterfall fall down on your head. Really neat. Love this rock. Look at this. Isn't this cool? And this one back in here. And see how they've been using some of my stumps, really tying it in. Looking up on this from above, I'm not sure exactly what they're going for, but I think there might be waterfall coming here and then pooling and then coming in behind this stump, maybe overflowing here depending on what the level is. Probably mostly flowing around underneath through that stump. Really like that. The other thing it might do is waterfall down here and then fall over this one and down that one. So I'm not really sure, but it'll be neat to see what he comes up with. I like how he stood this one, the way that he stood that up. It's really neat. And this one's kind of cool. It's like kind of perfect for that area. Let's go over, look at that. So look at this one here on the side. See how it kind of cuts and it's going to wrap around and really frame. It'll be all soiled in and then creep plants over it. But it'll really frame that well. You can kind of really see it from this angle, how it wraps around, and it's gonna be a neat little framing rock. And this one down here is neat. Let's pull that back a bit. You can kind of see it. It's a big, deep, long, flat rock. It's gonna be really cool. And the elevation difference between this and kind of that other area, it's gonna be a bit of a stepping destination boulder, I think. It's gonna look really neat. So let's see the wetland. Okay, so the pond is going to overflow to this level sill, fall down this waterfall stream into the bottom area here. Two of the main pumps pump up to the wetland, and one of the other pumps pumps to the large waterfall up here. So two pumps are actually, most of the flow is going into the wetland. This wetland's a filter. So sorry if I'm shaking, it's really cold. So this wetland here has some neat little nooks and stuff in there. Maybe put a couple tree stumps hiding in there. Some taller, wet style grasses growing up through there to give it a bit of height and character. And then maybe some other plants crawling and falling in. It's going to be really neat to kind of dress that up. And this is going to be a few inches of water with aquatics planted in it. And the idea is that the rocks and the aquatics will actually filter the macro sediment out, as well as the micro sediment and all the nitrogenous waste. And then it will just kind of seamlessly flow into the pond. We lowered it a bit so it'll look more like a bay coming off the pond. It was previously going to overflow down. I actually kind of like this a little better, so we'll see how that is. And it'll be a great spawning ground for minnows and baby fish head up in there, get some shade inside the plants in that wetland guild. It'll be really, really cool. And then looking back at this, you can see this area was backfilled with some soil. There is a pipe running in through there, so I'll have to be careful with that when I'm digging and planting. But we were thinking a nice tree here. I was originally thinking of a nice tall black lotus, filtered dappled sunlight, won't shade the pond. But my wife had a really good idea. We have a flowering dogwood on our front lawn that just looks spectacular. I'll show a little photo of what that will look like in this area, but that could be just a perfect tree there. It'll be a nice area we can get some height. We want to be careful planting stuff that's going to deposit fruit and food into the pond. But it might be a really, really nice place for like a bonsai shaped pruned flowering dogwood. Might be really nice. Oh, and the other thing I was thinking about this area, step back a bit, would be maybe like a little couple like patio stones or something inside the wood chips, a little table and a couple chairs to kind of sit at. Maybe a tiny little campfire. You could have like a little campfire by the pond and this stream. It might kind of feel like you're camping. That might be neat. In fact, actually camping out there might be kind of cool. And then let's look at the retaining wall. So this whole area has been really done nicely, I think. These are some massive rocks, and they've been set, it's been dug down, and these rocks have been set into the hill. So it's not just a bunch of big rocks sitting on top of a hill, which looks very unnatural. These rocks are kind of dug down, the hill is dug into, and then the rocks are set into the hill, and then the soil's filled back over them. And that just looks so much more natural. It'll be neat to do some plantings all on these ledges, maybe even some blackberries curling and falling over, a couple trees poking up through some of these nooks. This is a south-facing hill, so this is actually going to be a very valuable high-yield area of this whole entire pond. This could be a really neat section. And then this area here between these two rocks, I was thinking of, I'd ask the builder, maybe can you put in some of the smaller rocks as stepping stones? So maybe like a series of stairs to walk up through here with some trees planted, at the corners, so that eventually 5-10 years down the road, you'll be kind of walking up through these gardens like this, and you'll be under a bit of a canopy cover. Might be neat. And then I've cleared down here. This is the swale near the other pond. I cut and cleared down here, and then I asked to put, if he has extra soil, to just deposit it on contour just downhill of that walking path, and then maybe I can build a functioning swale out of this and tie it into here, and then have a walking path coming through there, through the cedar trees, and kind of, connecting everything together. Really expanding the footprint of this pond. And then down the road, I'll let some of these sumacs, this thing was cut to the ground last year. So let some of these sumacs grow and leaf out and put a canopy over top of this walking trail in between here. And this will be a very highly productive swale. So that's it for the pond update for now. I've done a lot of research on terrestrial wildflowers, bushes, and trees that I'm going to plant. Remember, this whole idea of this pond is going to be less of a food production zone, more of a pollinator heart of my food forest. So a lot of the species I'm putting in aren't going to be edible. Some will, but a lot of them are going to be pollinator attractors and flowering plants to look nice and showy, but also bring in the pollinators for my food forest there, my food forest at the bottom, and my food forest here. And it'll really tie everything together, give a nice habitat and home for pest predators and pollinators, and get them established on my land, and kind of this will be like an eco sanctuary. So this is going to be a very fun spring, summer, and a very fun next couple years watching this all come together. Once the plants get planted, the mulch is down, wood chipped, I can edge stuff out, get more natural, you know, decorative slash habitat stuff like logs, and really like make this whole area pop. This is going to probably be where quite a few of my videos in the future get posted about, especially in the winter when everything's kind of ending up, but this thing's still going. So stick around, and thanks for watching my pond update. Stay tuned for a full video once we can fill the pond up and get this wetland filter going. I'll do a full video. It's 90% done on this wetland area. What is a wetland filter? And I will also do a full video on every single plant that I'm going to be planting in here. I've been doing a ton of research. I've got an Excel file that I'll share, and it has a whole bunch of pollinator attractor plants. I'm up to roughly around 30 of them now, and you'll really get a chance to see all the plants that I've put in and details about them. Can you believe it's May? It looks like it's December. Like, screw off, Canada. I love my country, but geez. See you next time.